Well, hello everyone and welcome to Painless Universal, conversation with myself and Welsh. Are you afraid of talking about money? Are you a woman? Are you really shy because you're not sure what to do? You're not sure about the investment process, how to go about with it, why you should invest, why you should save, why you should get out of debt, and all those questions popping in our mind. Are you worried about those pains that money brings? Well, my guest today will be just telling you just that. My guest, Emilie, she's a friend of mine. We were colleagues at Lehman Brothers, and she was in the private equity side, and I was in asset management. She's gone on to set up a company called Vestport, where that conversation can be had in a very private format. Let me tell you a little bit about my guest and what she's really working to achieve. She's shaping the financial world together by making the conversations about women talking about money much easier. Vestport breaks barriers and makes finance more inclusive. Financial independence gives women the freedom to live their lives on their own terms and boost their confidence, which in turn helps their families and future generations. My guest today, Emilie, is the founder of Vestport. She's a speaker, independent financial writer, and an author. She published her first book, You Are Not Broke, You Are Privileged, in May 2019. It's been listed as Amazon bestseller. Her mission is to change the conversation about money and empower women financially. They've run over many events on the Vestport events and workshops, with many guests attending in the thousands. She speaks at conferences, she talks about money, and she creates a platform where you and I could go in there, attend one of these workshop events, and feel comfortable, not thinking anyone is judging us about that conversation about money. I'm super excited to talk to my guest today. Not only is she the founder of this company, she does a weekly podcast where she talks to other women about their own challenges, which I encourage you all to listen to. And she talks about these challenges that they might be going through and how they found their own joy along the way. Well, meet my guest, Emilie Bellet, as we talk money pain and finding our joy. Well, hello everyone again. Welcome to Painless Universal, a conversation with myself and Welsh. Today's conversation is all about the money talk, money pain, money advantage, money everything. We women especially find it very challenging to talk about money. We just find, we want money, but we find it very difficult to talk about how to spend, how to invest, and all those difficult challenges that come with it. My guest today is my great friend. We've known ourselves for a very long time. We actually worked together at one time at the Lehman Brothers, so we're really excited to catch up on that. She is the founder of Vestport. She's a speaker, she's an independent financial writer and an author, and she'll be telling us about how we could empower women and change the conversation about money. Emilie, how are you today?
Hello, Anne. So nice to see you.
I know, so nice to see you again. It's really lovely. We haven't met for a very long time. I think last time we saw was when Lehman was going through the difficult stage in life, and I thought it's better I start something else now. Saved up a little bit. I know you stayed. You were in the private equity wing, and I was in asset management. But how are you doing?
I'm fine. It's been a journey since my, Lehman days, leaving this private equity world to set up businesses and, work on my own, trying to find a big mission, try to solve bigger problems, especially for women. So this is what I'm doing today. So thanks for your, amazing bio. But yeah, for me, it's all about educating women financially, empowering women, having this conversation about money like we're going to have today, because it's not an easy one, and break the taboo, because women should have more money in their pocket. That's what we want. Money buys you freedom, choices. So women get the money.
So, Emily, when you look back on your life of having this mission, because this is a big conversation you're doing, you're really breaking a massive taboo. Because when a woman first sees money, the first thing she sees is shopping. While a man sees money, think of investing. How can I invest? How can I multiply this money? Before we get into all of that, can you tell me a little bit about your background and how you got into the financial sector?
Yeah, of course. So, I never had any money conversation at home, university. I went to university and business school, and I worked for Lehman Brothers. I worked in finance for like 8 years before, starting to work in entrepreneurship. But actually, my job was to be an investor, was to invest money on behalf of, institutional investors, return the money to my investors. But actually, I had a pension while I was working at Lehman, and then didn't have a pension for years. I mean, for someone who works in finance, who's supposed to have this type of education, we actually never receive any financial education. And kids should be taught about budgeting. They should be taught about delayed gratifications and all these things that are so important to build healthier habits later in life. But we don't. And usually, we study at university, we may have a student loan, we start working. The first thing your bank is going to give you is a credit card, and they're like, good luck, and go and spend money. So we are more on this like spending side, and we don't necessarily know about the saving side for the short term, like when we talk about having an emergency fund. The medium term, we have all these amazing things we want to achieve in life, and unfortunately money is going to be part of it. Money is going to help you to achieve all of these goals. And also, one of the things, especially for women, is about pensions and the pension gap. So with my own like little pension story, I actually went to see a financial advisor at some point, and I was still a banker. And I arrived in this office, and he was like, "Where is your husband?" And I was like, "Oh, come on, where is my husband? I'm here to talk about my finances, my own money." And I worked in finance, so I thought, what about my friends? I'm just going to open this conversation about money. It was super awkward at the beginning to talk about money with my friends, talk about our salaries, investments, and stuff like that. And that's how I started to research this topic of women and money, realize that women will retire with hundreds of thousands of pounds less than men. On average, it's between 20 to 50% of men's pension savings. There's lots of like structural issues around that. So when you think about women, we are still paid less than men. There's the gender pay gap. So that means less money being saved. We are still the primary carers for our families, communities, our kids. So when we take time off work, that's going to have an impact on our level of income. We're not going to earn money for a few years. So that's money that's not going to be saved, and that's not going to be saved into our pensions, and pensions are invested over the long term. So it's money that doesn't grow. And that's why it creates such a huge gap. And finally, one of the reasons is that women tend to shy away from investing their money, because women are great investors. There's been lots of research. Women know how to do it. They're not risk adverse, they're just more risk aware. And I think there's been, the financial world can be a bit intimidating if you never worked also in finance. You're going to see mostly male at the top, even if now we have amazing like female bankers, but it's intimidating. It has been a bit patronizing for women. So women are like, okay, I'm not going to do it, I'm going to wait. And in the end, that's going to have an impact on their personal finances. So looking at all these stats, I was like, okay, we need to talk about money. It's really awkward. I don't want to do it, but I'm gonna do it. And yeah, and I do. And initially I set up Vespod. I didn't want to be the face of it. I didn't want to be this person talking about money all the time, because it has also can have such a bad image and stuff. But I started just writing, sending a newsletter, and then I published my book, You're Not Broke, You're Pre-Rich. We launched workshops and classes. I now write for the iPaper. We have a podcast. So it's really getting everyone to talk about money, talk about their challenges, their achievements. And I find it really, liberating. And especially for women, I think really empowering. People don't like the word empowering. You give the power back to women. We always had this power. But I think when we talk about finances, it's important that women know they have a space to talk about these things, because money will help them, to leave a toxic relationship, or pay for their kids' education, pay for whatever they want for their financial goals, protect their family. And we need a space to do that, and that's why I also brought together women in this like Vespod community, and women can talk about money really freely on their own challenges and goals with money.
And that's really good because you have this built this amazing community. Your company Vestpod is on a mission to change that conversation, which we all are afraid. And I think people feel like it's such a nice name, Vestpod, because it's like a pod. You're in this little space, and we're all having this conversation, which will not be leaked outside. Because a lot of people are afraid that if I share this information, if I talk about this issue, the whole world will get to hear about it, but in your world you don't do it. So what are some of the big obstacle in what you've observed that needs to be overcome to achieve this goal of financial independence?
Yeah. So I think, for women, maybe it's a bit harder than for men because of, the level of income, the disposable we have to actually, disposable income we have to actually save and invest. And I think investing for me is a big mission. So, I was an investor in my previous job. I invest my own money. I'm really passionate about that. But it can be very intimidating for, first-time investors, for people who haven't done it before, because we have this image, and you worked in banking, we know that you have this image of the investing being like on the trading floor, like being a trader, like screaming buy and sell, and that you need to be super experienced. And maybe we think that it's only for rich white men to invest money, but it's not. Like, now investing is really for everyone, and you can start very small. So I am telling women, women love to do their research, know everything before they get started, sort of procrastinate until, they know a lot of things. But I'm like, can you actually start on a very, very small scale? And today you can start with just investing your spare change, investing £25 a month. I mean, if it's money you can afford to not lose, but to live in the stock market for 5 to 10 years, that's great. You're good to go, and invest regularly. I think over the past year, we've seen this day trading craze where people think they can make money very quickly in the stock market, maybe because during lockdown, you had a bit of spare cash, you were maybe bored, you were at home, a bit depressed, and you wanted to do something. So you had this buzz from investing. But it's really hard to make money this way, to pick, that, but picking single stocks, trying to buy at the right time, sell at the right time. So I'm always telling women, you should spend time in the market rather than, timing the market in order to reduce your risk, and build this the diversified portfolio. And now there's lots of platforms online, like the robo advisors, for example. They can build your own investment platforms for you, your own portfolios for you, so they can invest your money on your behalf. And that's one way to learn. So for me, it's really taking action. But I realized, talking a lot about investing, that we are not all ready to invest money. There's a few things you need to do before. And I think it's important to talk about debt, short-term debt, credit card. If you're struggling with debt, you should really tackle it, because having short-term debt can be really expensive. When you pay maybe 18% interest, 20% interest on a credit card, it's going to be really hard to get this type of return from the stock market. So tackle your debt. There's still a lot of shame associated to having some debt. So, who can you talk to? Can you talk to a debt charity? Can you talk to your partner? Can you solve these issues? Because money issues have such a big impact on your mental health, and you can, feel really bad. That's going to have an impact on your job, maybe your family life. So really tackling your debt, and then start to build some savings. And how you do that is by, working on a budget. And it doesn't matter if you have no money, a little bit of money, or a lot of money. I think we all need a budget. We all need to sit down and organize our finances. And that's something we often don't do, especially if we don't have a financial advisor, and most people won't have a financial advisor. So, sit down, organize your finances, see where you can save money, and slowly build this short-term pot of savings that you leave in the bank. That's going to pay you very little money. Interest rates are extremely low. And that's why for the long term, you need to actually invest some of this money and that can be in the form of a pension or stocks and shares, for example, if you live in the UK. But really think about also your future self.
Starting the company, your company's done so well. How did the mission of your company get impacted by the COVID-19?
So it's funny you asked this, but I have three young kids, and my daughter is actually the younger one. She's 18 months. So I had her 3 weeks before the first lockdown. So, I had prepared my plan for, what's going to happen when I'm on my last maternity leave, and it's going to be nice. I'm going to be at home with my daughter. No. 3 weeks later, I had my two other sons who are also very young, off from school, off from nursery. So we are all at home. So in the end, all my plans have changed. I think it was good because we used to do a lot of physical events and conferences in London, where I could have 150 women attending these like finance talks. That was great to get the community together. That was also exhausting. So we moved everything online, all the workshops online. I work a lot with corporates, and I develop their financial well-being programs. I do some lunch and learn around why manage your finances, how can your employee feel better about money, and I go and talk about debt and budgeting and salary and pensions. And for most people, it's going to be the first time they think about money. So I think being online also helped, because having this money conversation, you can still listen to me, you can hide behind your computer, you can switch off your camera, and hopefully you will just think about one thing you can do for your finances, or remember one thing, or think like, oh yeah, Emilie said that, maybe I'm going to work on my budget. And you don't need to be out there, you don't need to be networking, you don't need to be talking about your own finances. And that allowed me to also grow the community a lot more, because we have people from everywhere actually joining our courses. I can get speakers who are actually not in London. That allowed me to make my community even more diverse also. So I think it's been good. It's been, challenging. And now where we are at is keeping all the education online, but it's also going back to meeting everyone and building this community. So still doing some meetups, and we're going to launch some sort of like local meetups also for people to get together and be able to talk about money, because I believe there's a lot of in the education, but to be honest, if you really want to learn about money, there's a lot of engaging content. There's lots of financial influencers, there's financial advisors, there's money books. It depends what you're after. There's lots of money coaches, but I still believe in the power of one-on-one. So it's you sitting down with your partner and doing your finances, maybe you talking with a friend, or if you don't want to talk with your friends because you're ashamed, you think it's too personal, the Vespa community is here, and maybe you can meet one woman. If you come to my event, you know that everybody here is open to actually talk about money. It doesn't need to be that personal, but it will give you advice. They will have the empathy, they will have the motivation, and you can also find an accountability partner. And when we think about money, it's the last thing you want to do, like your finances and your budget. But if you have your friend on WhatsApp who's like, yeah, what are your goals for next month? What are you saving for? You've saved for your holiday, amazing. I think it's a real plus. And I think that's not something you can do within banking and the financial system. So it's amazing. There's lots of platforms out there and stuff, but we are really like the ones trying to get you motivated to actually use this platform, invest more money. And that's why we also work with a little bit with financial institutions to try to help them maybe communicate better to women, and try to get more women part of this financial system and grow their money. I mean, if you look at the statistics, by 2025 women will actually manage 60% of the wealth in the UK. So come on, it's a huge area. And when we're talking about women, it's not one type of women. Of course, we're all different, and that's why it makes it beautiful and complicated. But it's how do you approach these different problematics with women.
Emily, I love what you just said, but one of the key things I noticed, and it's so prevalent everywhere you go, is that women do not dare to tackle the money matter. And you said 60%, we might be controlling more of that money. And we just can't have that conversation. Could you just tell me what you think? You worked in private equity and you worked in tech. You chose to be your own boss, and you chose to say, okay, I'm going out of I'm doing this. Why do other women struggle to really have this deep conversation about tackling money matter?
Yeah, and this is such a good question. I mean, we never talk about money. There's still this taboo around money where, I mean, maybe your parents, I mean, my parents told me, you know, it's really impolite to talk about money. You shouldn't talk about money. I went to a Catholic school, and again, we were not like talking about money. So you have all this misconception around what you should and shouldn't do in life. And, you know, we acquire our financial habits very young, from age 3 to 7. So we cannot really remember these times, but if you had messages coming from maybe your parents or your carers that money was very scarce at home, or actually you had lots of money and you could buy everything, that will have an impact on the way you manage your finances today. So me with my kids now, you know, it makes me think, wow, what do I do? How do I speak about money? What can I teach them? Because this actually starts very young. So if we didn't have that, or if we didn't do any work on our money mindset, and for me, money mindset, I thought it was, yeah, you know, come on, I love numbers. Money is about making a budget, negotiating your salary, you know, putting money into your pension. Actually, there's a lot about understanding what is money for you, and really ask yourself the question, what is money for you? Do you want to be extremely rich, or actually do you understand that money is just a tool that will allow you to live the life you want? Money comes, money goes. How to use it in the best way, how to grow your money, but that maybe having a lot of money on your bank account is maybe not the end goal, and that's maybe not what's going to make you happy. And it's also trying to think about your values. You know, what do you value in life, and how you can start spending money and investing money in a way that's aligned with your values. So I think doing the work for yourself, and, you know, asking you the question, like, you know, what is money for me? Why does it matter? How can I move from like a scarcity mindset and thinking, oh, I don't have enough money, I can't buy this, to actually thinking that money is a bit more abundant. And I think that that can be also helpful, thinking, okay, you know, there's money out there, and, you know, it's not like we need to share the money. I think there's money for everyone, but, you know, you need to do a little bit of work to think about that. And then women, if you just think about, you know, magazines, and I think that has changed a lot over the past few years, but, you know, there was like this big study by the bank Starling Bank, and they show that in women's magazine, you would be talking about, you know, handbags and saving money and how not to spend too much money. But then in the men's publication, it would be like how to make money from your money, how to drive your investment and your returns and stuff like that. So I think we also, you know, we've been in this like little cocoon where we don't have the, you know, the same conversations about money. And just to give you a basic example, I remember, you know, when I was working in finance and, you know, at Lehman, the guys at the pub, they were talking about money and their investments and stuff, and women were just, you know, talking about, you know, something else, and not necessarily like, you know, how we manage our money, the mistakes we're making on the stock market and stuff like that. So I think this is building up over the years. Then we may have an issue around confidence, also managing our finances, because we think, you know, male have been doing it historically, but women are actually the one like managing household budgets and stuff. They're maybe not the one making the end decision, but I think this is really, really changing. And I see more and more women engaging with their finances. So I think we just need this little push to know that, yeah, it's fine. We just need, you know, we just need to do it. We can open about it. Nothing is going to happen to you. And for me, that was quite hard, like launching Vestpod. And I really wanted to hide behind Vestpod, behind the name, behind the logo, and not be here today with you to talk about money. But now it's been a journey. So it's now easier to do it. But of course, at the beginning, it wasn't easy to, you know, to open up about this topic, because no one was really doing it. But I think you somehow have to, you know, lead by example and do it. And that's why I also, just like you know, started my podcast called The Wallet. And here every week I'm interviewing women, and they tell me, you know, what is money for them? Why does it matter? How do they make more money? Why should women make more money? And when you keep hearing the same messages, but from different people who come from different backgrounds, I think it's really, really motivating. And hopefully it's really going to help women, yeah, to have this conversation and go and negotiate more money, and then start investing this money.
I have to ask you, Emilie, what is the benefit when women start saving, thinking about the money, adding value? What is the benefit to the economy when they start going on this path?
Yeah, so I mean, for me, first of all, massive benefit for themselves, you know, because once you have money in your pocket, you know, freedom, choices, you know, you can do a lot more things in life. You can make sure you protect your family. And when you look at what women do with their money, and I think that's the difference also in terms of how women and men manage money. When you look at, you know, why historically, advisors have been advising men mostly on, investments and returns and performance. I think women tend to be a bit more interested in, what do I do with my money? Can I actually achieve my financial goals? Do I have this financial security? Do I have enough money for my family? So I think there's a different approach also, maybe for financial advisors, in terms of, how you talk to women and what are the goals of women. And now women, when they have money, what do? They tend to reinvest in what they care about. They're a lot more into, impact investing, maybe ethical investing. They want to invest in their families, in their communities. They want to have a social impact. And what we see is 90% of millennial women are actually interested in investing and actually creating change. So I think that's going to have an impact also on the way we invest money. So when I run my introduction to investing workshops, and we do a lot of workshops on how to pick stocks, how to pick funds, women are like, okay, how do I make sure that my money goes in the right pocket, that my money goes and combat and fight climate change and fight, for societal change? How do I make sure my money goes into women-led companies? So I think that's been really at the center of, the motivation and getting more women to invest. It's also trying to think about, where is my money going and can I make an impact? And for me, that's really a positive in terms of motivation and making sure you can, you can change the world even if you don't have a lot of money, but by making sure it goes in the things you really care about. So I think it's really encouraging that, we see more women investing and earning more money.
You run lots of events. I think one of the great thing about your work is that you're not just talking about it. You actually run, you reach out to the community, you let people know how to do it, you give them day-to-day advice. What are some of the interesting highlights you've seen from these events you've run, talking to the community? What are some of the things you've heard from them that gives you that joy that this is something that needs to be heard and needs to be said, and that's bringing out the best of your work?
Yeah, you're right. I think, getting people together who are interested in the same matter is extremely powerful. It's very hard to build a community. It's very hard to, manage a community and make sure there's actually connections created. But if you really wanted to learn about money, you could go on YouTube and watch these hours and hours of videos, and you can have very good videos, very bad videos, whatever. But I think for me, Vestpod was also a way to really help women focus on what they want, refocus on their own goals, refocus on what they want to achieve with your money, and be on board with women who are going to have the same maybe framework or want the same, things in life. We may all have different goals, but we want to make sure, we're going to have enough money for our life. What we're trying to do at Vestpod, and it's also really ignore the noise. And I talked about, maybe the day trading, how to make money very quickly, trade in and out of the stock market. And it's actually telling women investing is actually not like that. Investing is really boring. Investing is for the long term. These are the ways you can start building your portfolio. You invest regularly. You can almost set it and forget about it, like delete your apps and stuff. So you don't get the additional stress from investing, and you don't need to have this. And what I've learned from the community is that if someone shares a story that, they started investing with Vestpod 3 years ago, they've been investing £25 a month. Of course, the markets have been performing really well. So it's been great for them because they've seen their money growing. But some of them have, made some mistakes, and they've been sharing their mistakes with the community. So you will learn from me, you will learn from our Vestpod teachers, and we do workshops on, how to invest, how to then, build your portfolio, how to negotiate your salary. We have workshops coming up on, ethical investing. So you have these experts and teachers, but I really want women to also learn from each other and share their personal experiences. And that's something that's quite hard to find, online. Finding people that look like you, that have maybe as much money or as as little money as you, and that have done it before and how they've done it. I can tell you how to use an investment platform, but it's much better if your friend shows you on her mobile. I open this investment platform, I have an app, I put a direct debit, £20 a month, it automatically invests me into 5 different funds. These are the returns I'm getting, these are the fees I'm paying. I have the option, I have the chat box, I can chat with them. I then transfer my ISA to another platform. So for me, it's really, we can have this high-level conversation and look at statistics that are extremely depressing about women and money and pensions, but it's really, how do you do it? How do you change it? And you have to change it on a one by one. So it's going to take time. to really empower these women. But I think there's this, group effect, where people like to be together, they like to do it together, they become accountable, and that's one way to really keep people motivated, and really take care of their finances. And then you change the conversation. So money was boring, money was a taboo, you didn't want to talk about it, but now you come back to the group and you say, I negotiated my salary, I got 5%, I got 10%, everybody's telling you that's amazing, so who's next now? And then you motivate your friends, and then you're part of this group, and you do it together. And I think this is really empowering to see women on a journey, and you join the journey wherever you want, and we're all in a different stage. But hearing that 5 years ago you had debt and you were struggling with debt, and now you've repaid everything and you started investing, it's such a big improvement, and life's become a bit more fun because you have more options, you can start investing, you're learning new things, and you realize, yeah, it's for me actually. I have the power, I have the knowledge to do these things.
That is very true. The community, it sells wonder. It's unbelievable because when you see someone else do it, not even by Zoom, but just someone saying, oh, I tried this, why not try it? And next week you also follow up again. I think that makes a huge difference. My final question to you, Emily, before I let you go, because I know how busy your schedule is that your book is so good because you wrote this book. You are not broke, you're pre-rich. That's an amazing title as well. You're pre-rich, you're not broke. Wow. And that book was released in May 2019, and it's going to be revised edition of your book is coming out. It's just come out in September 2021. Can you tell us a little bit what viewers, anyone who's going out there looking to say, okay, I can't join the community because I'm still a little bit shy about talking about money. It's not something I'm ready to embrace, to tell people my salary, to tell people my debts and this. What can anyone who reads your book learn from your book, and where can they get a copy? And finally, what chapter in your book gives you the most joy?
So thank you. And so the book is called You're Not Broke, You're Pre-Rich. We did the first edition in May 2019, and that was fantastic. We celebrated with like a big conference, the Vestpod community, sort of a disco party, just to celebrate the fact that women and money is something we should be talking about. And for me, this book is really to give you the tools to get started with your finances. So you'll have different chapters around understanding your money mindset, how to repay debt, how to write your own budget and your own goals, how to then save money, and then what do you do with the money you've saved. We talked about putting money into cash savings accounts. They don't pay you a lot of money. It's fine for the short to the medium term, but because of inflation and to benefit from compound interest, you also need to invest some money for the long term, and that's why you can maybe use a pension. So it was taking you from a point where you know nothing, how to organize your finances to be able to actually invest in property, invest in the stock market. I talk about the other asset classes, but really trying to give you a full view about personal finance. You can just pick the book and read one chapter. You can, you can buy it and read the first chapter, leave it there for a month, and then read another chapter. You don't need to read everything. But we've tried to add a lot of anecdotes, examples, very pragmatic things around money. So you make it relatable, I think. And the title was, a candid way to also, start this money conversation. You're not broke, you're pre-rich. It's sort of funny. People like the title. I think my editor, actually, my publisher, Emilie, she received one of our newsletter, and that was the title. And she contacted me and she's like, this is it. This is the title of a book. Do you want to write a book? And I was like, wow. No, yes, okay, I will do it. And then I sent a proposal, and we published this book, which is amazing. We've sold over 14,000 copies of the book, and now the new edition is a bit lighter because reading like 350 pages about money can be overwhelming. So this one is smaller. It fits in your handbag. You can take it to a meeting with your financial advisor. So you do a little bit of your prep before, and really that should help you. And then you can also gift the book to a friend. it's quite cheap. It costs less than £8. So it's an easy gift also for, for students. If you're out, you're still studying or out of university, first job, and you want to have the basic tips, I think this is really helpful. So before you have any money conversation, read it on your own. You don't need to share it with anyone. Hide it in, in your drawer. You can write your notes on it, and then you can also share it with a friend or gift it to a friend. But it's been like a super experience, because writing the book allowed me to go out there, speak at book literature festival, conferences, and now do all my corporate work. So it's been like a fantastic experience, and thank you to everyone who already bought this book.
It's an amazing book. Thank you so much. And anyone who hasn't bought the book, they could get the book, a copy on Amazon, I presume.
Everywhere, yeah. Amazon, all the other retailers, and the new one has a green cover. If you want the first edition, it's a yellow cover, and the new one has a green cover. And you asked me about my favorite chapter, and it's of course the one about investing money. So how to get started, what are the different platforms, the different apps, what are the different strategies when you invest money. So for beginners, it's really how to get started, and giving you very practical tips.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, Emilie, thank you so much. I really enjoyed talking to you. And I hope anyone listening to this conversation will learn a thing or two about money, and, have that courage again to talk about money. Thank you for bringing out that courage in all of us.
Thank you so much, Anne, for having me today.